Welcome, 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 everyone, to the Women's Empower Network. I am so excited to have Tiffany with us today. So, welcome, Tiffany.
Hello, thank you for having me.
And I appreciate your vulnerability of not realizing we were going to go live in the group. So, thank you for your courage.
No problem at all.
So, like we talked about earlier, I usually start off with the same question to get the ball rolling. Is if you would tell us a little bit about your story and journey that led you to what you're passionate about today.
Okay, I'll try and be succinct because I tend to once I start talking about things I'm excited about, then I ramble more about it all. But
Well, we can get to that part.
we can get to that part. I
Yeah.
used to I used to be a lawyer,
Oh, wow.
um, and that was a passion when I did it when I was in my early 20s to 30s. But there was a point where my soul said, right, we're done. This is not our journey anymore. And at that time, when I was about to leave, I received a message from my grandmother in spirit. And she told me that I'd gone to a holistic fair. I hadn't received the message myself at this point. I'd actually gone to a holistic fair and someone had said, oh, your grandmother's here with a
Oh,
message. Do you
nice.
want I'm just shortening the story. And so it turned out through the message from my grandmother that I had the ability to be a medium and that that I come from a lineage of healers. Um, so that really opened my door. As I was leaving law, I'd kind of opened a space in my life, and I then started studying mediumship. That led me on to spiritual healing. And that led me on to energy healing. And eventually, through me relocating from London to Scotland many years ago, that led me on to discovering shamanic healing and shamanism. And really, that was the journey um, alongside my personal development. So all of this was part of my personal development. I was unpacking my past at the time and getting healing as I was going along um, with these various trainings. And um, my job to make money while I'm on this exploration was being a personal trainer, working in fitness. That had been my escape when I was a lawyer, was running. So I turned my hobby into my job, became a personal trainer, worked in health-related exercise, cardiac rehabilitation, falls, GP referral, working with people with all kinds of medical conditions. And that was more than just exercise because I got a real insight into the psychology of illness, the to learn about the medications, the effects of that, and all sorts of other layers in between. So that's kind of been my package of coming to working within all realms of the healing arts and then going down specific avenues that really light me up within that framework.
That's intriguing. I love this. So, to go back a little bit, so you got this message through a medium from your grandmother. So, was your mother not tuned in this way? Did it skip a generation?
Mum was she was into astrology and tarot. So yeah, she was open to the esoteric, but I wasn't brought up with it. I mean, my dad died when I was 10, and that was really my first introduction into me knowing about the spirit world. And I knew even at that age, I can remember going to the graveyard and just thinking, well, I mean, saying out loud that that's just where his body is, that that isn't where he really is. So there was something in me at a very young age that knew that truth for myself. I mean, also I'm saying that because I understand that people will have different beliefs, so that was my
Yeah.
belief, my framework for that. um So yeah, I wasn't brought up with the esoteric teachings, or other than my mum doing astrology and tarot.
Interesting. And then it's funny because it seems like a 180, you know, being a lawyer and law and here versus your gift of being able to connect, however you want to say that, on the other side of the veil, or, you know, another frequency than what we experience every day.
Absolutely. And I kind of lost a connection with that during my law years. I was very left-brained rather than right-brained. And it was like my grandmother totally chose the moment, as I was stepping out that left brain door to go, right, now what are you going to do with this? Here's this information, here's this invitation to go and explore the right brain. And I took it. Um, my mum and I did go and see a medium after my grandmother died when I was 19. So that had been there prior to me going into law. And then I'd gone into that left brain world. So when I got the message, I was like, oh yeah. We went to the Spiritualist Association. I bought a book on mediumship when I was 19. What happened to that book? Okay, we're going down that avenue now. So there was some, there's little breadcrumbs along the way, little connections.
I always find it fascinating, just because we recently, as a group, wrote a book, and in it, when you go back and look, there was like little breadcrumbs all along. Because I worked in corporate America with engineers and PhDs, and yet that's not ever who I was. But it just seems the outside world kind of influences what we think we need to do or what we should do.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, when I went into law, it was an invitation. I'd gone back to finish my studies after having my daughter quite young, thinking I was going to become a teacher. And then and then I got an invitation into a job in the law firm. And then once I was there, someone invited me to do the studying, and that kind of unfolded. But it was what I needed in order to, provide a stable home for my daughter and prove to myself I wasn't just leaving school with not a lot and all of those kind of things. So I satisfied the societal. And then when I left law, the mixed response was, "Oh my God, you're mad," or "Wow, you're brave."
No, I get it. I was still working as a contractor to military when I first started getting my downloads, and I'd get them every day, and they were so clear that I actually was able to record them. But when I got the invitation to share what I was receiving, I'm like, no, I don't think so. Especially, what we called back then New Age was still in the dusty corner little bookshop. It wasn't as open and acceptable as it is today.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is, when I left law, that's 22 years ago now. So, I've been on this journey for a long time now.
Well, and I like
Um,
that you went from law to something you love to do, still in the physical world, but not in the corporate structure of doing fitness, which has had to do with your well-being and being connected to your body, and then
Absolutely.
slowly evolving to the next phase. Um, it sounds like a beautiful kind of unfolding, if you will.
Yeah, it was a great bridge, and actually, those were kind of running alongside. So there was the what was going on with the personal development and the spiritual training while I'm doing a job that earned me money. But also, I could tell within the people that I was working with within the exercise world who was open and who wasn't. So some personal training or people that came to my exercise classes became healing clients or case studies. And one lady came to a mediumship evening with me at the Spiritualist Society. It was just brilliant that I could connect those two worlds as well, because they were both really something that I was passionate about. And yeah, the exercise, as you say, it has a great benefit for health and well-being. And then on the body and the bodies. Um,
Right.
so yeah, it's all interconnected. It's great.
That's fabulous. So, what is it that you like to focus on today in working with people?
Um, this is a really interesting question because if you see my website, I've got so many tabs, and it's like, whoa, there's this smorgasbord of things, and then I tend to work. One of the things I'm passionate about is human design. That's not what I'm going to talk about, but it's one of the things that I'm passionate about. And that filters through all of my work because then I can get to know who I'm working with. But in accordance with my design, I let life show me what it is that I'm meant to be doing each year. And it's often not what I think it's meant to be. Uh, or what I think, oh yeah, this year I'll do this, that, and the other, and then the clients or requests are coming in different ways, and I'm like, well, that's very interesting. So most definitely the flavor as in what's been most requested or people have been most interested in is ancestral healing. And that's been something I mean, I've been working on it personally in my own lineage, and there's been many operations, opportunities. They were spiritual operations.
Yeah.
Many opportunities over the last few years to really, things coming up and going, okay, this is ancestral. Let's go and sort that out. Um, so yeah, I mean, I've been working with ancestral work since 2009. That's when I first really came into it as a theme, and immediately was like, oh, I have some work to do here. Um, and so I started my personal journey with my ancestry and my relation to my family and my ancestors, because also what's become very clear is that ancestral work isn't just about the past and the ancestors. It's very much about us and the present and future generations. So, ancestral work isn't, it can be a nice gathering round the fire with the ancestors. But, that's the nice reconnection part. It doesn't have to be round a fire, it can be on a bench. But you know, Um, but it's really, going back, where does this pattern start? What is this that runs through the line? What is it that's creating chaos in my life? Why does this always happen to me? And it's like plucking out of the ancestral unconscious and out of that field of the things that are running our lives, running and sometimes ruining. Um, and then we can address them. We clear that the ancestors happy, the lineage is happy, the pattern stops, the generations are happy. Um, so yeah, that's been a real passion in, yeah, as I say, I've been working with it since 2009, facilitating workshops, and I don't call them that anymore, really. It's an experience where you come to experience your ancestors and you come to experience um, the healing and the reconnection rather than it being me teaching something. Um, so yeah, I run ancestral healing days and retreats, and that's yeah, I'm just absolutely in awe of where we go with it, really, and the connections. I just ran a retreat recently in Wales, and just the people that come, the interconnections of, there's someone who lives here and there's someone who lives over there, and then all of a sudden they've got ancestors that came from the same place, and they all migrated to the same place, and then someone else brings a song that is resonant for their ancestors, and the other one says, "Oh yeah, my granny used to sing that to me." Yeah, I mean, it's just out of this world extraordinary. And just shows how much we're all interconnected as well. So, yeah, it's amazing.
I love it. And what just gets me so excited, I love talking and hearing your story and work and the service that you do. And I have similar experiences using different words. And that's why it's so beautiful that we're all waking up to this. And I always say that we're multi-dimensional, multifaceted, and and that you can exist at any level that you want to, but to have more and more conversations like this to help people awaken to more than their 9 to 5 or their day-to-day life and their day-to-day routine, and expand their awareness to that there's so much more going on, and we have so much more access ever than before, I think, um, to information, that we can get so much done in this lifetime, you know, being Tiffany or me being Ginny. Uh, it's just so exciting and beautiful. Oh, I get giddy. You know, and at the same time, there's all this noise out there, and some people get really concerned and anxious
Anxious.
about, yeah, the operation and opportunity, about all the noise in the world. And it just makes me smile because, like you, I call them fractals, um, where it's just a pattern that's repeating itself. And we're in a beautiful place and time to shift that pattern so it doesn't need to keep repeating anymore, that it can become a new pattern and something new for all of us to expand into. So I'm
Yeah.
so grateful that you stopped being a lawyer and talked to your grandmother and stepped into that realm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, is there anything else that comes to mind that you want to share?
I don't know. I was just musing on how beautifully woven it was that the message from my grandmother then ended up with me being passionate about ancestral healing. So it was just like, yeah, there's there's the other thread. I just wanted to pick up on something that you just said about the patterns and clearing that, because with the noise that's in the world at the moment, recently something in this side of the world, I'm in Scotland at the moment, but in Scotland and in Ireland, there's some stuff going on the material plane, and just something happened recently, and I thought, whoa, that's an imprint on the land. That's what we're seeing happen there. Different players, same game, same land. There's the imprint. And it makes my hair stand up. Get the truth tingles. Um, and what's beautiful is that in Ireland, I'm about to run a retreat in a couple of weeks. And ever since I agreed to do it, I've been healing the land, and the land has been saying that there's healing for the land to be done. And I didn't know what exactly that was going to be. I didn't know, I still don't know what the people are going to be bringing until we're in it,
Right,
in terms of their ancestors and what needs healing there, and maybe what needs healing in that location or in the land in relation to their ancestors. But that call, that's been planned for a long time until all this stuff has arisen. And I'm like, wow, maybe this is something also that we're collectively going to be called to be addressing for that land, where we stop those patterns of division and segregation and racism. I'm going to name them racism and all of those things. These imprints, this, as I say, different players, different games. It could be religion, it can be color, it can be whatever you politics, you know. And it's
right.
like, what are we doing, humanity? We're all the same spirit. it. We're all the same under the skin. We're all the same without the isms. And I call them the isms.
Yes.
Yeah. Without the isms, we're all the same, and what are we doing as humanity? And as these things, I think it's all coming up for clearing. Um, this is the time, this big transformation that we're in on the planet. It's time, and the ugly comes up, and you go, okay, well, here's another opportunity to
Right.
heal this, clear the imprint. So rather than getting dragged into the story or the players, it's like, no, here's the imprint. Let's clear the imprint. Let's stop this pattern repeating in the future with different players. And for me, the way forward is that we're much more united as a humanity. So yeah, I guess that was another thing that needed or wanted to be said through me.
Well, and it's exciting too because for the last, thousands of years, it's been more masculine energy, where there's a competition and there's greed and there's power and control and all that. And we've allowed ourselves to be quiet. And so, mostly through a female body, but through, because there's men that have the feminine energy that are bringing in the collaboration and the unity and the witnessing and the understanding and the knowing that we all are the same. Um, like you said, that's why, and it's just balancing out that energy. And, I not in a million years did I think I'd have a women's group, an international one at that. So it's exciting to have these conversations and just, we're all born into a collective culture. We may be born in a different country. I've noticed I've interviewed almost 300 women now. And I don't care what religion, what culture, what time in history, there's been this collective, it's the same thing. You were talking about patterns and imprints that we've all been exposed to. And now it's time to press past the veil that we've all been duped into, if you will. To create a new conversation and to really own the magnificence and the brilliance and the power that each and every one of us have. So you doing the mediumship and doing these retreats and helping heal the individual ancestral line, and change, and even in Ireland, I think that's so fascinating. I love the synchronicity of how people can come from different parts of the world, and that in itself shows how we're interconnected.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we've I think also, we've been matriarchal, we've been patriarchal, and this is another whole story that we've been living out. And that there's also, us going forward, um, regardless of gender, of, the mat, the rather than even patriarchal and matriarchal, it's like, let's get away from the toxic masculine or the toxic feminine into the true masculine and the true feminine, or whatever. I mean, sometimes it can be, there's so many terminologies that we
That's
use
right.
as well, but it's about, let's get back into alignment with ourselves and with each other. And really, for me, that's the essence of all of my work. Well, all of the different facets, all of the tabs, um, essentially lead back to that. That, get to know yourself, get into alignment with yourself, love life, love each other. Um, you know, come into harmony. Yeah, that's what I feel I'm here for, hopefully.
Lucky us. Well, this is so fascinating. I know we could talk for hours. Um, but so before we go, would there be any parting words of wisdom that you would like to share?
Hmm. I wasn't prepared for bringing words of wisdom, and I love that you were saying when we talked earlier about wisdom. Um, Something really random, actually, because this is my kind of favorite reminder for myself at the moment. So when life gets hectic or there's too much going on or we're getting too wrapped up in the world, my driving instructor told me when I was learning to drive that space equals time. And this is my latest wisdom is that when we give ourselves space, we give ourselves time. Um, and maybe that's, in that space is where we really get in touch with ourselves because silence, when we're in that silence, when we're in that stillness, that's when we can hear the inner voice. One of my teachers says that silence is the language of the heart. So yeah, putting together a few little bit of wisdoms there, but yeah, ultimately, allowing ourselves space that gives us when we, if you think of a calendar or a diary, if you have a space, that means you in your diary you have time. I can be a little bit guilty of, oh, there's a space. What can I fill it with?
Right.
So this is where the driving instructor's handy for me right now is make the space, allow that space, give myself time so that I can hear my inner voice, so I can hear my heart, and I get there. I think that's the wisdom for anyone who needs to hear that, who's good at filling space.
I could appreciate that. And that's a whole nother conversation in itself. So I want to be sure to let the audience know that we're going to put Tiffany's contact information down in the comments. So if you want to connect with Tiffany, you want to learn more about what she's doing, her events, her retreats, or her mediumship, anything at all, we'll be sure to make that available to you. And Tiffany, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. I mean, I'm chuckling that I thought I'd signed up to have a little chat with you and ended up going live, and I just love the wild spontaneity of that. So thank you for the opportunity.
You
I've
bet.
been up in my rawness.